I just wanted to tell you that this is a consumer bill. This is 100% a consumer bill. But before I get started, there's several healthcare providers that have white coats in this room. And I'm just going to ask them to do this real quickly, Madam Chair, if you're okay with this. If there's not oversight on PBMs from the aspect of the way this bill is written and will be amended, please stand if you think you'll still be in existence in the next 5 years. This is how critical this issue is.
Because I own the pharmacy, I know that I received $21.08. Because I am also the patient or family member, I have the explanation of benefit from the health plan that shows that I was paid, or on my behalf, the pharmacy was paid $162.49. So my question is, if I own the pharmacy and I receive $21 from the health plan, then where is the $141? That's what I want to know. I guess the simplest way to put it was, I think Senator Mills says, if a bank is robbed, you could call the state police. When I called them, they basically told me to call the robber. I was instructed to call the PBM to file my complaint.
My gross profit has gone down 3% in the first quarter of 2019 because I was forced to sign a contract, take it or leave it. So if I take it, I go out of business. If I leave it, I go out of business. Because we were informed by the PBM that the PSAO that was representing us, they would not negotiate with them. And we had to sign an individual contract. And the bad news is the contract gets worse over the next 3 years. So I'm struggling now. I have to borrow money to pay my taxes, my federal income tax. I have a line of credit that I won't even tell you what I'm dipping into it in.
Thank you, Mr. Hollier. We appreciate your testimony.
I'm passionate. I'm just passionate about my patients. Fred Mills was a mentor to me. When I was growing up, there was 6 independent pharmacies in the city of Brook Ridge. There's 2 left. Simon's Pharmacy served the people of Brook Ridge for 63 years. They had to close because of unregulation by the PBMs. They just couldn't pay a pharmacist anymore. I get emotional. Because my father was a pharmacist. At the end of the day, we just want to take care of people, but it's a business. If we don't get paid, we're going to go out of business. So, I'd like you to consider this bill. We are here for our patients. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony.
It is about as comprehensive a piece of legislation on this subject matter certainly that the nation has ever seen. The PBM does not, in any circumstances, define what the terms and conditions are, the relationship and the health benefits that the principal company is going to offer to their. Transparency is what we strive for.
Tell me about.
Margins that PBMs make are surprisingly very low, okay? A lot of revenue comes through there.
I mean, it's a bookie game. The bookie's analyzing his bets. And I found it unbelievable that three men with such a great education couldn't, and I think the world of them, they couldn't read an explanation of benefits on one side and what was paid on the other side and explain it. I mean, we had more education at this table. That was unbelievable. They couldn't read an explanation of benefits in the insurance business. I'm going to make my closing real quick, but I did want to just acknowledge something on the thin profit margins of the PBMs. I just wanted to show you that this is what the gross revenues of the top 5 PBMs are. This is the gross revenues of the 5 tech companies. 787 billion for the PBMs and 783 billion for the technology companies. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the committee, a lot of this is about money. This is a lot about money. The Caremark CEO, Google it up, you'll find 2 or 3 different sites. In 2014, it said that his annual salary was $22 million. Good for him. Good for him. I think this year is 12.3. No, I'm not sure if that's accurate. Maybe he took a generous pay cut. I'm not sure. What I'm trying to say is there are solutions to this. But when you have this much money in the mix, I'm not sure if we're thinking about the solutions. I'll throw the solutions out right here, Senator Boudreaux. I'll throw them out to you. Eliminate spread pricing. I'll say this to pharma and everybody else. Eliminate rebates totally. The price is the price is the price. These ladies and gentlemen right here, they can save plans so much money if they actually knew what was under the hood. Senator Clayton, you've been talking about this for years. How do we negotiate Medicaid drug pricing when we don't know the rebates? Eliminate rebates. Everybody gets the same price, and at the end of the day, a pharmacist is going to know that if a product costs $400 or it costs $40, what's the right decision to make for the patient? They don't know. Eliminate rebates, you got a good deal. PBMs right now, lobby, I'll tell y'all right now, lobby should have, every member should be telling the PBMs, I want to know exactly what my rebates are, and I want it audited, and I want to know what you're making on spread pricing. That's easy to do. That's not a problem at all. And then another one is if you just pay providers instead of a product, if you pay providers to manage the care of the patient, synchronize their medication, do certain things, and PBMs are starting to do that, but I'll really acknowledge them to do that. Instead of saying, hey, you filled your first prescription here, but why don't you drive 20 miles away from CVS and it's going to be all good. This is not hard, but why do you want to solve a problem when you're doing this? I don't know if you want to solve a problem. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you all, committee. This, as all of them, they're all simple bills. This is just giving the pharmacist the right to not fill a prescription if it does not cover the cost of the drug.
So just to expand on it, there's times when the prescription may be at a monetary loss for the pharmacist. This gives them, from a contractual standpoint, the opportunity to turn it down.
Right.
Okay, thank you very much.
I have 32 appeals that have been denied in the last week. I just went through my mail. I have 180 since 2 months ago that were denied. I think Randall did the report, I have 100 and something that are still open that are over 6 months. The bill that we passed
6 months
required them to be done within 15 days. It's not happening. If we can't buy the drug and put it on my shelf and at least get reimbursed to cover the cost, then we can't buy any more drugs.
I did have one question. Ms. Swallow, from just your experience, what percentage of your appeals, basically the PBM says, hey, yes, we will adjust the price to meet your purchasing? What percentage would you say?
Less than 0.5%.
50%?
Less than 0.5%.
So less than 1%?
Yes.
Less than 1.5%.
Wow. Okay, I just didn't know if I'd heard right. So you do 100 claims and you may get one appeal that is honored. Senator Luno?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I really don't have a question. It's more of a statement. I just can't believe the absurdity of having to have a law that says somebody that owns a pharmacy has to be forced to sell something cheaper than what it costs them. And we seem to be okay with that. And our discussion is not what the problem is, why they have to sell it for less than what it cost them and lose money for their business, but the conversation is, well, the patient needs it. And they do. A lot of times they desperately need it. But why aren't we talking about the root problem here? This is how absurd this conversation has become. And I'm frankly getting sick of it. We have to do something to get this in check. Thank you. I would suggest that you talk to your clients and tell them that they need to seriously reconsider their business model, because if they don't, I, for one, am going to look at passing some legislation that's going to help them reconsider their business model. This is not going to work. This is not going to continue like this is. We're not going to put these people out of business. Quite frankly, I don't understand why Lobby and NFIB and all those other initial people aren't in here raising hell about this, saying, we're not going to let you do this to Louisiana businesses. They should be here with us too. Your folks should likewise say, you know what, we make a lot of money, we provide a service, but we're willing to scale back just a little bit so we don't force these other people that will have to work with us and have to work under our rules to go out of business. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sir, is your name Mr. Drosden? I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Drosden, I listened to your comments with particular attention to your suggestion that we should be concerned about the patients. And I agree with you. I'm every single time, 100% of the time, concerned about the patient first and foremost. I wish everybody was. I don't think they always are. But I want to go back to your hypothet, if you will, about the rural drugstore. If a patient goes to that rural drugstore and they can't get their prescription filled because the cost is greater than what they're allowed to charge, they may have to drive 50 or 60 miles to go find a pharmacy to get it filled. That would be problematic, having to drive 100 miles round trip for that person to go get their prescription. But my question to you is, have you ever considered the fact about what would happen to all of those other patients if that pharmacy shut down and there's not a pharmacy in existence for another 50 or 60 miles? That ever cross your mind? Sir, this is absurd. This is absurd. We're talking about these people don't want to fill a prescription because they're losing money. That's the business they're in. That's how they make their living. And we're telling them that you have to sell it and lose money, and this is the most frustrating thing I've ever dealt with in 4 years I've been here. It is crystal clear to me, and I think everybody else, what the problem is here. And you guys are coming in here and you make these absurd arguments. I don't buy it.
I don't
want to hear it, sir.
I think it's the concern.
Well, you know what? Maybe they could get that prescription filled if the PBMs didn't make so much profit. Maybe if we just cut them back a few percentage points on the millions and millions of dollars, probably billions that they make, maybe then those prescriptions could get filled and Mr. Swallow's pharmacy wouldn't go out of business because he's having to fill prescriptions for less than what they cost.
Thank you, committee members. I appreciate the discussion. And as you all know, we are mostly local, small, independent pharmacists. We see the patients eye to eye. We know them. We know when they're ill. This is ridiculous what we're having to go through. And as Senator Luno said, I had made the same marking down. If they've closed the pharmacy, that's the only one in the parish, they're not taking care of the people. The pharmacist was trying to take care of the people, but he cannot continue operating that way. I would ask you all to please move this bill favorable.
Thank you very much.